Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to walk you through the Liberal campaign platform that was just released today, which is September 26, 2015. Now, there's three major themes to this platform. One is it's supposed to focus on the family, so they're really looking at the child tax benefits. It's looking at income tax splitting. It's looking at the whole idea of taking a look at Harper's plan and then basically replacing it with a made-in Liberal plan. The other thing that it is, it's predicated on basically investments in infrastructure. So in other words, they want to kickstart the economy by throwing more money into infrastructure, and they also want to deal with basically the avoidance area of taxation. And that really has to do with the way the Income Tax Act works and how companies can move money around between different jurisdictions as part of the overall tax planning of corporations. Now, basically, the key aspect of it is, despite as much as the Goodales of the world, the Brysons of the world condemn Harper, it's truly going after the surplus that Harper's in right now and running deficits for the next 3 years. That's a critical, dangerous game of playing with the finances in terms of doing things, and part of that money is what we call social infrastructure, which is basically going to become permanent funding issues, which could mean cause problems with budgets over the long haul in terms of sustainability. So I've highlighted some of the key points here. Now, both the NDP and the Liberal Party are a little bit up in the air in terms of my concern right now, because they want to remove the family tax credit, which is $2.2 billion cost to the government each year, but it really replaces the non-refundable tax credit system. I have not seen anywhere in their platform, or both the Liberals and the NDP, where they have not understood that the non-refundable tax credit system is gone now. So if you're going to remove the family tax credit, then you have to bring back the non-refundable tax credit system. So where is that in their numbers? Because I don't see it. The second point here is he's honoring the small business tax cut from 11 to 9%. That's a Harper plan, so he's doing that. The EI is a little bit puzzling, because initially the Liberals' plan was to have a holding period, so they were going to keep rates the way they were, but then they decided that they were going to do a holding period for new hirees. Okay, the Liberal plan's a little bit sketchy or dicey as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not sure that A, it's going to keep the fund sustainable, and B, it's incoherent with their strategy, what they said in September in terms of promoting support for job creation. The next point I did not see anywhere in their budget, and I know why they didn't do this, is because the tax hikes that would come from CPP do not go into the government's treasury. They go into a dedicated fund, but it's still an impact to business. So why was that not discussed in their platform document? It should have been there. It wasn't there. Now, I also have exports there. Exports would drive the revenue and the assumptions. There is nothing in this platform to discuss how they will honor both existing trade agreements or ongoing agreements that are happening between the Trans-Pacific Trade Authority or other ongoing trade agreements working with India. There's nothing in this platform that discusses that, because that relates to revenue. The other word I have strong with is a strong word of tax evasion. Most companies are not evading taxes. They're doing what we call avoidance. There's a big difference. Evading means you're illegally taking money from the treasury. Avoidance means you're using the rules to channel money through different ways as part of the various income tax acts. Now, it's very easy for the Liberals to say they're going after that, but that's a long haul process to make that a reality. And there are international methods going on, and Harper has focused on that to kind of bring more money in through the overall way that taxation rules are applied to countries, and kind of look at the transfer pricing issue. But that's not in this document, because it's not clear what he means in terms of avoidance. The next point that he has, he's going to do a program review, which that's what Harper does every year. So that's no different than what Stephen Harper is doing. So I'm not sure what Justin Trudeau is trying to accomplish here. However, I do see that he's trying to throw more money at the programs without truly looking for value for money and looking at how best to operate that. It's easy to fix a problem by throwing money at the symptoms, but the cause never goes away. And that's a problem with this thing. The Liberal plan also goes after the stock option deduction, which the NDP would eliminate. They've established some thresholds here. Now, this is very critical, because the thresholds are going to be A, difficult to manage, and B, I'm not sure that they really grasp the impact of the compensation side of startups. So I'm not sure how valuable the estimates are here, because I'm not sure they've done a thorough analysis of this area. Infrastructure, which is a big key spending issue, but there's considerable problems with infrastructure money. As Michelle Rempel pointed out in a video, is that unless you look at infrastructure in two components to it, one is self-sustaining, that means going into transit funds that are funds that will pay for themselves, there's an ROI, then you're wasting your time. If they're not infrastructure projects that support GDP growth, then you're wasting your time. So there is nothing in here that sets the rules on how they're going to approach infrastructure. We could have boondoggles like we've seen in Ontario, where we've seen $8 billion that's overspent on 3Ps because there's not oversight. And one thing we know with the Liberals, they're horrible at oversight. We've seen this in the 90s when they did the ad scam. We also seen this when they basically cut spending things. They're not very good at giving you the whole picture. They're good at hiding things from you. And that's the thing that you need to ask yourself. How credible is this plan if you were to match it up to the overall what's happening in the existing program spending and the overall economic growth in terms of supporting it? It's got a lot of measures in it that are determined on revenue growth by the economy as well as measures within to grow it. The other thing is they're targeting the top 1% in terms of taxation. The number is inflated. It's always been proven that going after the top 1% doesn't guarantee you that money. So that number is likely too high. So the thing that you need to ask yourself, get away from all the fluff on these platforms and actually ask subtle questions. Is these platforms valid, or can they be validated that they're actually going to work? Thank you.